Hey, it's Josh with New Review coming out with a new review of Arrow. It's been a little hiatus, um, but I'm going to catch up on what's happened so far. Uh, since we last left our heroes, Cayden James decided I'm going to mess with the electrical infrastructure, and that lasted for 3 episodes. Um, uh, so for a while, they were trying to find ways to mitigate the damage that Cayden James could do as he was hacking into to the internet infrastructure. Um, they lost a lot of good people, like the chief of police, which was a heavy blow for Oliver as the mayor. Um, like I said, they tried to mitigate it as best as possible. They tried safety centers, things of that nature, to try to keep people contained and safe. Cayden James tried to upend that by sending some of his goons to kill the people at the safe zone. But apparently Vigilante is on Team Arrow adjacent side. And is doing deep cover like he used to do as a cop for Central City Police Department. And we got to Oliver doesn't trust him, but Team Arrow adjacent does, to an extent, only because Dinah trusts him. After that, the next episode, they're trying to stop the infrastructure destruction, and they are unable to do it with Argus's help because Argus gets electrocuted, like a little barbecued, so that's not good. So they utilize Vigilante, who gets them in, and we get a nice little backstory of Dinah and I'm just going to call him Vigilante because I can't remember his name. Vigilante's backstory, and it was breaking the number one rule of cop partners: don't become intimately involved with your partner, which they broke. And ultimately, they are found out by their employer, who they're undercover trying to bust. And then that brought us up to how Dinah got her powers and Vigilante got his, because he's got a healing factor that allows him to withstand getting a bullet to the face. And so he's helping them, trying to help them get information to stop Cayden, especially the infrastructure destruction. And in the process, the Vigilante gets captured and is then tortured by the leader of the Bratva, who actually had been kicked out of the Russian branch and was on his own. Eventually, Black Siren kills him because King James orders her to deal with the threat, and and that pushed Dinah over the edge, and now she wants to kill Black Siren. I'm gonna use Black Siren instead of Laurel because they're not the same character. However, Lance is trying to save her, trying to get some semblance of his daughter back. Then the final episode, until the new one tomorrow. This will come out before the new one on Thursday. Cayden James decides, I'm going to blow up everything, and then we see a backstory as to why this is important to him. His son had been murdered, and he had been convinced Oliver did it. After a little futzing with the metadata of the file, it turned out that Oliver had not. It was a mercenary who ended up dead a few days after the hit. And Cayden, like I said, Cayden threatens to blow up the city. And then when Oliver shows him the proof, which he then tests, he then thinks it's one of his associates that is left alive, either Black Siren, the drug lord, or the former head of the Bratva. They're all brought in, and then a fight ensues because Oliver's son shows up, and Cayden James decides not to blow up the city and kill everyone. And the pain that, and the reason that it was so important to get revenge for his son was he hadn't been there for his son like he wanted to. And I can understand that because when I was growing up, my dad was there for me for as much as he could be. But sometimes, he couldn't, and I understood that because he was working hard to make sure that he could provide for us. And I appreciate that now that I'm an adult and kind of doing that on my own. Granted, it's largely for myself, but I understand. And Cayden felt guilty. And seeing Oliver be as good a dad as he could be, that kind of knocked him out of revenge against Oliver. He then wanted to get revenge, but it turned out Drug Kingpin actually started it because he wants to take over the city, and then he kills Cayden James. So yeah, I'm looking forward to how the season goes on, especially with the original Big Bad turning out not to be the actual Big Bad. But yeah, this is Joshua with New Review, signing off.